Hey Defro, what are you doing? Oh man, I'm just, playing on my R36S. And I was just thinking, man, how much I love this thing and how such a surprise hit it was. And they keep making all these other R lines, but why doesn't somebody just take this and make it a horizontal? Dead Fred, stay tuned. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Handhelds. I'm Joey. No wait, that's not me, man. I'm not as cool as him. Anyways, welcome back to the channel, Deadheads, or welcome for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're going to take a look at the just released O30S. What is it? Well, I don't know. We have some thoughts about what we think it may be. A horizontal version of the R36S from the R36S people? I don't know. Anyways, make sure you hit that like button and share, and also leave us a comment, as we're excited to see what you guys think about this newest review. Anyways, let's get right into it. All right, Deadheads, as we take a look at the box here. And this is a nice box, purpose-built to spark your imagination. These boxes are getting unique here. The last one we had, the R40S Pro, which is really just an R36S, said their greatest wish was to stay young. So I kind of like that they have these little bit of, sayings on here. And we have the O30S handheld game console, open source smart pocket. This has a nice design to it. I really like this. I don't know if you can pick this up on the camera, but this is a pretty nice looking box. On the side here, O30S. Why is it an R30S? I don't know. Who knows? O for open source, maybe. Open source smart pocket. Here's this little guy, the market. I don't know what market means. Kind of looks like either the SG Jam guy or the Game MT guy. So retro open source gaming, and the box says we do have an RK3326, a Mali G31, 1 gig of LPDDR RAM, 3.5-inch 640 by 480 IPS laminated OCA full fit scale screen, and a 3000 milliamp lasting battery. So pretty nice box, pretty nice packaging. Let's get this thing open and see what's inside. All right, and we have our typical packaging inside here, a little plastic case. We have our handheld here, and we do have our instruction manual. Nothing else in there. No screen protector. Let's see here, handheld game console O30S. Key parameters there are R36S. So I had a suspicion that this is basically the R36S in horizontal format. So I'm going to say that's probably what we're looking at, which is not a bad thing, guys. If you just take it and make it horizontal, then this is probably going to turn out to be a pretty favorable device if it's built and has the insides just like the R36S. But there it is right there. It says R36S. So I'm pretty sure, because everything else matches up, the 1 gig of RAM, the 3326 CPU, 3.5-inch 640 by 480, we're looking at the R36S. And so there's your input output. So yeah, I feel like this is basically the R36S in horizontal, which is not a bad thing. So looks like these manuals are using some of the same language as some of the other ones, because it looks like I'm seeing some of the same stuff here, the filters and all that. So does show you how to use Wi-Fi. There is no Wi-Fi built in like the R36S, but if you simply get yourself an adapter like one of these guys right here, nope, sorry, that's the wrong one. One of these guys right here, a little USB-C adapter, USB-A adapter, then I got a USB-C adapter on it, and this thing I picked up on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. And then you can very easily attach it and hook in and add Wi-Fi, since the OS does support Wi-Fi. So let's get a look at this guy, and looks like there's our cable and typical USB-A to C, so typical cable, probably slow charging, wouldn't expect it to fast charge. And yeah, Okay guys, immediate thoughts here. This feels really nice in the hand. So if we're going after the 351 or the RG35XX-H, then if this price comes in right, which of course it just launched and it never comes in, you know, at the launch price, right? But if this thing can get down under 40 bucks to around $35, this could be a very compelling device as long as this thing performs just like the R36S. So let's just take a look here and see. And let me try the sticks here. So yeah, the sticks feel just like the R36S sticks, switch style sticks. They don't protrude a whole lot, so for pocketability, that shouldn't be too bad. These buttons, kind of clicky, but they do remind me of the R36S. And then we have our start and select up here, and then our D-pad right here. And the D-pad doesn't have a lot of pivot, like Nick pointed out. Make sure you go see OTG Nick's first look at this. He had it out on Friday. He did a great job. He got the red colorway. I've got the orange, so go check out his video. I'll leave a link down there in the description. And let's see here. This feels good. I mean, it feels okay. It doesn't have that pivot, but this probably won't be that hard to change out if this is using the hardware of the R36S. For ports, we have our OS on the right, and the SD card does kind of protrude there a little bit. We have our OTG, so you can put your Wi-Fi adapter there, your headphones, your USB, and then your game card right here. So kind of different. And then these little vents probably for down-firing speakers. So that's on the top here. We have our reset button and our power button, our volume rocker, so nothing on the sides here. And then we have, oh, very, very loud. Loud and kind of sticky, clicky. Oh, much quieter here. So your front shoulder buttons. Now with this CPU, you're not going to do a whole lot of R2 and L2. Of course, you use them for hotkeys, or you might assign it for that. But really, you know, I think for most things, you might be using these front buttons, and that's not that bad. Let's do the shake. Not a lot of rattle. There's a little rattle. A little rattle. On the back, plain. No branding, no nothing. They don't have the little guy on there. It doesn't say pocket, whatever they called it, Pocket Boy. But that's kind of nice. And this plastic, it just feels really nice. Really nice plastic. This orange color is more like a peach or a creamsicle color, I would say. But I really like it with the black buttons. I think it looks great. And so, yeah, this feels pretty good. Not going to say it feels better than the RG35XX-H. I think that probably still feels better to hold overall. But again, this is going for a budget line. And if this thing performs like we think it will, then basically going to have a very good alternative to Anbernick's offering. Let's fire this up and see how it does. Here we have our little friend again as we load it up. And let's see here. Now I have optimized a few things on here prior to filming. So the first thing is I updated it to the latest version of Arc OS using my Wi-Fi adapter. It shipped with a version that was a couple of months old, not really old, but that's you know, not too bad. I've also added some more themes to my emulation station. So what you're seeing here is not a theme that it would ship with. It's one that I did add. I will leave a link in the description because this is my favorite emulation station theme. But the games are the games that it ships with, and you can see that it has quite a few games that it's shipping with. There has been a continued amount of chatter about whether these should ship with ROMs or not at all. Definitely a lot of opinions out there as far as whether that should. So you can see in this theme, it's not scraping. It didn't scrape, but again, we do have the ability to do scraping if you do a Wi-Fi adapter to it, but there's just a ton, and it uses the numbered system of games. Well, some of them do. So This one's been scraped. So you can see some of the systems do have the proper scraping here. Some Dreamcast. Neo Geo doesn't. Neo Geo Pocket. And again, you can buy this with different game size cards. So your mileage may vary on this. But let's just go in and try some Castlevania here. Let's play a little PlayStation 1. With this CPU, you can safely play all the way up to PlayStation 1, no problem. Definitely anything above that, N64, Dreamcast, Nintendo DS, your mileage may vary for sure on that. And so just running this thing direct with the way that it booted up, just with the set settings. So let's see how this does. This D-pad feels okay. Now, I did have in some off video testing a little bit of D-pad weirdness, so we'll see if it picks it up on the film or not. Don't know if we're going to capture some of that. Feels pretty good to hold in the hand. The size is good. Really nice. I don't really think I'm going to want or need a grip if I was playing with both sticks and the sides. This feels pretty good right here to just pivot like that. As we play some Symphony of the Night, one of the best games to ever release on the PlayStation 1. And let's see here. Let's do a little pivot test. And yeah, the D-pad has a little bit, as I rock back and forth, a little bit of false diagonals. I'm not going to say it's terrible, but you know, with these cheap ones, you can always change it out. This is membrane based, so I feel like I'm getting a little bit of false diagonals here, the D-pad, which is not going to be really great for fighting games. If we go to the analog here, which is just mimicking the D-pad. So yeah, it looks good. Again, you know, these CPUs, every 3326 is really going to run about the same unless they mess with the RAM a little bit. But this is going to run just like you would expect the R36S or any of the Ambernicks using the CPU to run. So I'm a little iffy about the D-pad, but everything else feels really good. Let's shift and let's try a different game here. Let's stay with the Castlevania theme here and go into some PlayStation Portable. And let's see how it's going to handle that on this 3.5-inch screen. You know, PSP is not going to scale perfectly. It's definitely going to have some borders here on the top and bottom, but let's see what this looks like. We know that the 3326 can play some PSP games, but I'd consider it to be a bonus system. I don't know why it's not starting here. There we go. A bonus system. Wouldn't really consider this to be, you know, the H700 I think is kind of better for PSP if we're going to go PSP, or really want to bump up to 3566 if we're going to try to do some good PSP. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays Castlevania here. And again, yeah, got that normal slowdown that we're expecting, you know, with this CPU. And really, I just want to try this D-pad out. Yeah, we're stuttering. We're not going to get any sort of ability to upscale. So remember, you know, what you're getting with this CPU, which is why this price has got to come down below $40 really to really be very competitive. At the $55 that it's going for now, kind of don't think it's so far. I mean, this isn't my full review, but kind of don't feel like it's outdoing the RG35XXH. Would probably stick with that. But let's go into the menu here, and yeah, you can see it kind of paused and dragged. Hey, at least it's in English, so we got to give them that. And we're just, I'm sure, just settings, everything, OpenGL, 1X, PSP. So yeah, it is pretty much playing kind of like I expected. It's going to have slowdown. You can quote unquote play PSP if this is the only or your first handheld you get or end up with this, and you come to this video looking for any tips or anything. This is not going to get much better than how they have it set up here for the PSP. There's going to be other systems you'll want, but let's take a look at some lower end systems and just kind of see how they look, because we should look good on Game Boy Advance and other systems. So we'll play a little bit of Super Mario Advance here, the first one, which is Super Mario 2 redone for the Game Boy Advance. I do have the scale, 2x scale on the CPU filter here. I have the overlay from the done set. And we're in a 3:2 integer scaled, 3:2 non-integer scaled ratio. So you can see it looks good, plays good, just like you would expect. This is, you know, I'm thinking that probably the Pal Kitty V10 upcoming, if I'm going to spend, you know, $40, $50 to play some Game Boy Advance with its native 3:2 screen, this being a 4:3 screen, 640 by 480, I think probably I would pick that over this. But I don't dislike this. Out of all of the R clones we've seen so far, the R40S, the R40S Pro, the R33S, the R35, that terrible R35 Plus, this is probably the only other one so far that I would say is really kind of exciting me like the R36S did. And that's probably because this thing on the inside is really just an R36S in a different shell. Which is not a bad thing, and this is, oh, as I stupidly dive right into there, and this is not a bad thing. Definitely feel like that's very favorable if you were really into the R36S but thought, man, I really want to have a pocketable horizontal version of it. I think that this is what the O people have given us. As I test out this D-pad more, I'm not loving my D-pad. I think Nick had a better outcome with his, so maybe it's just my particular unit, but certainly I like the analog stick better so far. So gonna open this thing up and just verify what the board says inside, and we'll do a little opening here and see what we see inside. All right, let's get this guy open up. And so, you know, as you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're using proper equipment if you're going to take this apart, so that you don't damage your unit. So make sure you're using the right size screwdriver here. Looks like there's just these screws on the back. As I edit some of this footage away, make sure you keep your screws here, and you're going to have to use a bit of a spudge here to pull this apart. The seams. So make sure you get the right tool as stated. And you just want to use this to pry it apart to get those clips out. And be careful, the battery is glued there. And wow, what do you know? It does not say, let's see, let me zoom in here. I really thought this was going to say R36S. Of course, I am realizing now that I'm saying this out loud that the board also has to be horizontal. So here's a look at the inside of this. I'm still going to say that this is probably going to be designed very commonly. So interesting enough, you see the board was manufactured version 11, manufactured at the end of last year in December. They'd had this board put together. We can confirm as I zoom in to our CPU here. Let me get a little light, and you can see that it is the rock chip 3326 as indicated. Get the lighting over here. I don't know if that's going to show up on camera or not. There we go, the R33326. I think you can see that. So definitely have the rock chip 3326 in there. You can see our triggers are pushing on the membrane right there. So I'm zoomed in a little bit. Let me zoom out, pardon me. So you can see the triggers are pushing on the membrane. So that's a little bit interesting way of doing these triggers. I kind of like that, although, like I said, that is presenting it as loud. That's why we're hearing a lot of noise, because it's right there on this board. Our memory chips, looks like we have two 512 memory chips here, so 1 gig as indicated. And yeah, definitely this is a clean looking board. Definitely looks nice. The battery, I'm going to say probably really is a 3000 milliamp hour. And we have, there you go, guys, the opening up here of this O30S. So definitely going to wrap up this first look video unboxing and opening. And I think I'm going to go ahead and give this my what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. And this will be sort of my review, because I don't think I'm going to discover a whole lot more, but I'll update with another full review if something different changes. There you go, the R30, it says R30S. I don't know why we're calling it the O30S, because right there it says R30S. Right there it says R30S. So I think this is exact same manufacturer, just different brands selling it, like the 3DO model. Anyways, let's get this thing back on and wrap up this video. All right, guys, so let's talk about what do I like. So here's the things I like about this. It seems to have good build quality minus the D-pad. Now, hey, everything can't be perfect. We seem to see with these Chinese, you know, budget, ultra budget handhelds, there's always something a little off. So on this one, the D-pad is probably the biggest weakness that I see. I don't hate it, but I really think it could maybe use some tape or something in it to just kind of help it with those false diagonals and the weird driftness that I've had with it. I like everything else about the build quality. The plastic feels great. The size and weight and distribution feels great. The triggers are great, except that noise. But you know what? I can see why it's making that noise now that we opened it up, but they work really well. I like it has 2 slots. I'm glad that most of them now are coming with the dual slots on these Linux-based handhelds, so that we can have ROMs separated from our OS, so we can just change OSs pretty easily. The sound on this thing is not bad at all. It's actually pretty good. And the screen looks good. I would say that this is probably the same screen we're used to seeing in the R36S. Look, there we go. So now I'm showing you what I'm having the problem with my D-pad. So there's some weird sticking drift here. Don't really know. Maybe I'll put some tape in. See, it's not doing it on that. So it's really strange when it does do this. So again, you know, you're going to have things that are not always the best. Whenever you're dealing with these cheaper Chinese, especially these brands that are attempting to make a brand name for themselves. So definitely have to keep that in mind. As we hear the sound here, let me just adjust the sound. It gets pretty loud, but it's not distorted, even though it's down firing. And it does, I didn't pay attention. I think it does have dual speakers, but you guys saw the inside, so you can tell. But yeah, I think it sounds great. Definitely like that it has the OTG port, so you can put in your Wi-Fi, you can update, you can do your scraping, you get a Wi-Fi adapter, so definitely like that quite a bit. All right, let's talk about the things that I don't like. Let me turn this back down a little bit. So I don't like the price currently. At the price that this thing is initially launched at, which on AliExpress is going between $50 and $65, $55 and $65. Yeah, man, that is just not the territory I would be in. I would go for the 35XXH, or even go a little smaller with the 28XX, or just get a vertical, you know, R36S. So not really happy about the price with that. This D-pad, I don't know if this is limited to the particular unit I got, or if there's more of a problem if you guys pick one up. And you have D-pad issues, please let me know. So didn't like the D-pad issues with that. But other than that, I give it a, you know, if you can get this thing under $50, and you buy it from, you know, a reputable seller on AliExpress so that you can return it if you need to, or if this thing pops up on Amazon, I'd say, yeah, this thing is not bad. It's pretty good. It's certainly better than the R40S, which was a terrible nightmare so far with its broken shoulder buttons and everything. It's better than the, you know, R33S, which was kind of underwhelming. It's close enough to the R36S that I would recommend this if the price is right. But I think pricing is everything with this. You definitely have to have be comfortable with that pricing to pick this up. All right, guys, well, leave me a comment and let me know what you think, and let me know if you think this is something you're interested in or something you'd want to pick up. I'm glad I'm able to bring you these and let you guys see this, and that way you can make a decision whether it's something you're interested in or not. I think this might be a good seller. I'm going to predict that a few months from now, we keep getting good software. That's another thing I like about this. The custom firmware is there with this RK3326. A lot of custom firmware, so really enjoy that. Anyways, guys, if you're anywhere near the hurricane in Texas, stay safe. Anyways, we'll be back next time with some more goodies. See you next time. Dead Fred out.